They thought humans made noise. They didn't know we carried their dead language. And sang it back to life. In a galaxy that underestimates humanity, one human voice can change history. This is where forgotten languages awaken ancient warriors, where courage isn't measured in size or strength, and where humans earn their place among the stars, not by conquest, but by heart. Welcome to HFY, where humanity proves itself one story at a time. The orbital station Varela 9 was famous for many things. Its translucent promenade floors that revealed the stars sliding beneath your feet, the ancient war relics mounted above its docking gates, and a nightly karaoke bar where starfarers from a dozen civilizations drank themselves numb to memories that never truly faded. On most cycles, the bar was a haze of neon and exhaustion, voices low, spirits heavy, and songs chosen more for noise than meaning. But on this night, something different walked through the doors. Susan Rivers entered first, a human linguistics researcher whose curiosity had always outrun her sense of self-preservation. Beside her was Evan Hale, an engineer with a sharp eye for danger and a quiet habit of expecting the worst. Evan scanned the room and felt his stomach tighten. "Susan, this place is full of Lorash war veterans. Big ones. The kind that bite through hull plating." "They won't bite me," she said calmly, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Not unless they dislike music." "That's exactly the problem," Evan muttered. The Lorash were towering, stone-skinned beings with deep-set golden eyes and tempers forged in the galaxy's oldest recorded war. Karaoke, however, they adored, though not casually. To them, music was sacred, a living link to ancestral warriors and fallen champions. Humans, by contrast, were usually dismissed as noisy mammals with too many feelings and not enough restraint. Susan had never cared much for galactic expectations. The bar's karaoke machine, an old pre-war relic patched together with mismatched holographic panels, flickered as she approached it. She scrolled through the multilingual database while Evan sank into a corner table, silently pleading for her to choose something safe. Something human. Something that wouldn't ignite a diplomatic incident. Susan, naturally, selected the opposite. When she stepped onto the small stage, the room fell into a low murmur. Basalt-built figures turned their heavy heads. The bartender, a four-armed solideye, paused mid-polish. "What is she?" whispered Scaled Tarot Captain. "Human," another replied. "Then why is she up there?" "Humans sing when they're happy, sad, bored, or breathing," someone muttered. Susan lifted the microphone. The screen before her glowed, not with human text, but with sharp, hooked glyphs that looked carved rather than printed. Lorasher, an ancient Lorash language dead for thousands of years, preserved only in war chants and funerary rites. Even modern Lorash understood only fragments. Most humans had never even heard of it. Susan had spent 5 obsessive months studying it. The first note she sang was barely more than a tremor, a low, resonant hum so deep it seemed impossible for a human throat. Conversation died instantly. Every Lorash ear frill in the bar snapped upright. Evan felt a chill crawl down his arms. The second note rose, layered with harmonic overtones she had practiced in secret. The air vibrated. Glasses trembled. A table of reptilian traders froze mid-sip. Then she began the lyrics. Not approximations. Not translations. The original words. Jar Kaventilar Marushan Kathalin. They were not just sounds. They were history, phrases that had once echoed across volcanic battlefields, sung by Lorash champions before faster-than-light travel, before alliances, before treaties. One by one, the Lorash veterans stood. Their stone-textured skin darkened to a deep, war-slate blue, the color of remembrance rituals. Massive chests expanded with reverent breath. Some bowed their heads. Others stared openly, caught between disbelief and awe. By the third verse, the bar was utterly silent. Evan watched, stunned. He had seen Susan buried in ancient texts before, but he had never seen her resurrect a dead language, certainly not before the last beings who considered it sacred enough to die for. The oldest Lorash present, a towering figure with a scar cleaving his brow, stepped forward. His voice was gravel when he whispered, Shalathan, the Song of the Fallen. It was a chant only the greatest Lorash war singers had ever been permitted to perform. A song reserved for heroes long turned to ash. And Susan sang it as if she had been born from their memory. When she reached the chorus, her voice soared, soft yet powerful, like a promise made at the dawn of civilization. The Lorash veterans raised their right arms across their chest, fists pressed to their heart plates. The Lorash salute. A gesture given only to the honored, the worthy, the keepers of legacy. Susan kept singing, unaware she had brought an entire species to ceremonial attention. The final note faded, dissolving into the steady hum of the station vents. Susan lowered the microphone gently. For 5 long seconds no one moved. No one breathed. Then the elder struck his fist to his chest with a thunderous crack. Others followed, a rolling wave of sound like stone colliding with stone. Evan flinched, then realized they weren't attacking. They were saluting. The elder stepped forward, his golden eyes shining. "Human," he rumbled, voice trembling. "How do you know the dead tongue?" Susan smiled, soft and respectful. "I study languages. I found fragments in a forgotten archive on Earth. I didn't want it to disappear forever." The veteran blinked, stunned. "That song, no Lorash of this cycle can sing it. Even we know only echoes. Yet you," his voice faltered, "you honored our ancestors." He bowed. No Lorash had bowed to a human in recorded history. "You have the heart of a war singer," he said, "and the courage of a blade strider." Evan nearly choked on his drink. Blade striders were 11-foot armor champions who once tore dreadnoughts apart alone. Susan flushed. "I just like old languages." The elder turned to the room. "Tonight, we honor Susan Rivers, human of the dead tongue." The bar echoed his words. Lorash voices rose in a slow, rhythmic chant, resonant and ritualistic, speaking her name as if carving it into stone. The bartender began pouring drinks on the house. A group of Terrell crowded Evan, asking in hushed awe if all humans could sing like that. "No," Evan said seriously. "Just her." Susan looked around at the impossible warmth, the unlikely unity. She hadn't meant to impress anyone. She had only wanted to honor a language she found beautiful, tragic, and forgotten. But sometimes, in a galaxy filled with old wounds and older memories, honoring the past did more than revive history. It healed the living. As the bar erupted into celebration, the Lorash elder raised his glass. "Tonight," he declared, "humanity earns a place in our stories." And far above Varela 9, the stars shimmered with ancient light, listening, perhaps, to a song they had not heard in thousands of years. If this story reminded you why the galaxy should never underestimate humanity, subscribe for more HFY tales of courage, defiance, and quiet strength. Like the story, share it with a fellow starfarer. And stay with us, because the stars are watching what humans do next.